Well, and in the last 4 or 5 years, our market has inflated about 30% too. So we've, most people that are listing their houses right now typically have quite a bit of equity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is interesting. See that there is a lot of equity in homes still. But, it's getting eaten up. I've been seeing some stats lately where people were that had that equity tapped into it with a HELOC or some other things and now have been using that equity. And there's the gap is bridging where, people just had all this discretionary income now, or I should say saved up equity in their homes. Now it's translating into, we've turned it into debt. We've bought things. We've had to adjust for inflation. We've pulled out a HELOC against our home, maybe extended some credit cards.
Especially when HELOCs are 9-10% right now.
Yeah.
But that's a hard thing sometimes to explain to a seller. Something that frustrates me. I don't know if you guys run into this a lot, but you'll have somebody that maybe just for round numbers, they bought their house at $100,000 and then they took out a $30,000 or $40,000 line of credit. And now you're trying to sell it at like $170,000 and they're going, but I'm not going to make anything off of it. You are. You've just already spent your equity.
Yeah.
You can't take it 2 or 3 times unless the market keeps going up or you've had it for, 10, 15 years. But it is frustrating when sellers don't realize that you've drained every ounce of equity out already. You've already spent it before you've sold it. And now you want to sell it and you want to walk away with equity. And that's probably not going to happen. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. I mean, if you needed it then and you've already used it, good for you. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But sometimes people don't realize that, if you take it all out when you go to sell, you might be breaking even, coming out in the hole a little bit, or walking away with nothing or just a little bit. You've already spent what you've got now.
Gosh.
And if you come out of it with a camper and a razor and a bow.
Yeah.
Right. Because that's what people do.
And it's all paid off.
Yeah.
Yep.
Then really, that's a win.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Instead of
sometimes
paying
sellers
on that
just
HELOC.
don't see that. They just feel like, but I walked away. I sold it and I have nothing. But you did. You've already taken you've already spent all your equity out of it.
Yeah. You got a bunch of toys.
That thinking on a seller is probably my second least favorite. The other one is I just gave up $10,000 on the price. So they don't, when they have to do a price reduction, it's like, that's not money you had.
Right.
I've already lost 10 grand on this. Like, no. The market said your house wasn't worth that yet.
Right. If you overpriced it 10 grand and then you came down to market value where it should be. Exactly. You didn't lose anything. You didn't give it to the buyer. But yeah, sellers do have that thinking. It's hard to sometimes convince them otherwise.
Yeah, that is it.
That's where the communication from the last one comes in. Because a lot of times realtors will be like, but they just dropped the price $20,000. And I'm like, well,
they shouldn't have overpriced it $20,000.
And I'm like, well, my buyer doesn't think it's worth this, let alone the $20,000 more. So
right.
You don't want to say it's not really our problem, but
it's not.
It's not, especially whenever the market's saying it's not worth that. If people aren't putting in offers, that's kind of your answer. And it probably isn't going to appraise for that anyways. And a lot of times I think, it's always the seller that sets the house price, but we give a recommendation. And if someone is coming in wanting to price it 20% higher than market value, we're going to have a conversation because frankly, it's a waste of all of our time to do that. And if you still want to do that, me personally, I might not be the person for you. But if it's, a little bit higher, okay, we can try and see. But if you're coming in wanting the moon, a little realistic conversation.
Yeah, not only that, the emotional toll it takes on them and it takes on you, and then the expended capital and the resources to list a property at an unreasonable price. I mean, that all things that you don't want to have to go down if you can avoid it. What about interest rates? Our thoughts originally have substance. Then I can't remember if we said they were going to stay steady or go up or down. In fact, when we get to the end of the year,
all said down.
Did we?
Yep.
Are you sure about that? Because I think you were pretty confident about that last time, and
I was wrong. I was very wrong.
You and I owed some lunches.
It wasn't until half the podcast where I was like, "Shoot, I lost."
And then I felt bad for making fun of Paul the whole time.
Yeah. That's right.
Only for a second, though.
Only for a minute. Yeah,
I deserved it.
He recovers well.
I think we all said down, but not down by a lot.
Yeah,
like barely down.
I think by the end of the year we will see him down, but I'm not sure we will in the next couple of months.
No, especially with these unprecedented times right now. We'll see if it goes down even by the end of the year.
Yeah, I think the consensus was like low 6s
Yeah.
I think I was on the high end at like 6.5, if I remember right. But I think they're sitting right now. You can buy down quite a bit, but I think normal are sitting still at 7.
Yeah,
High
we're right.
6s to 7.
Yep, you're right on point. I just pulled up the average 30-year mortgage today is 6.98%.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're right at 7%.
The buying down points is driving me crazy right now. Advertising 6.5, but then you're having to buy down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Or the
it's
2
so
ones
expensive.
and the 3 2 ones. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to, and so then you have to calculate, okay, if I'm going to spend this much money to buy down an interest rate, I better be willing to hold on to that asset for so many years to recoup that money. If not, pay a little bit more monthly, and gosh, you really can have some flexibility there. So we've had those conversations are coming back. We used to have those conversations all the time, but before the interest rates dropped so low, it's like, gosh, if you just pay another $30 a month, and you're going to spend $5,000 to buy down an interest rate, how many years are you going to pay $30 a month before you reach $5,000? It's a thing to consider.
That's the great thing, though, is that all of it really is cyclical. It comes around and it changes. It goes from a buyer's market to a seller's market to a buyer's market to a seller's market. And we do have to have these conversations over and over again. So you start realizing that once you've been in the business for a while, you start thinking, I can remember, 5 years ago, I can remember 10 years ago, I can remember 15 years ago, having those conversations, because that used to be a big deal back in the day when what could a seller do for you, and that was something they could really do for you is buy down an interest rate. But the interest rates have been so great for so many years now. That's not something anybody even think. You don't even consider. If you're already getting a 3, why would you buy it down?
Yeah.
Even pre-COVID when it was like 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's reasonable.
Right.
Very reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But once it starts getting up to 6, 7, 8, that starts making a difference whether you can buy this house or not. And that becomes something that's real. But you're right. Why would you do it if you're if you have a 3-year plan in the house?
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Don't do that. Save that money.
Yeah.
Buy a new set of pickleball rackets.